ever find yourself signing something, like a document and thinking, hold on, what does this actually mean? Well, today we're diving deep, into a topic that seems really simple at first, but it really kind of underpins so much of how our world works. Affidavits, I'm Eddie Travis.
And I'm Marilyn Lee Trotter.
So you hear about these affidavits all the time, right?
Sure.
But do you really know what makes them so powerful? I mean, it's not just about writing words down on paper, is it? It's about creating a statement that carries real, legal weight.
Absolutely. An affidavit is so much more than just your signature on a piece of paper. It's a sworn statement made under oath, which means it can be used as evidence, in court.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. If you lying on an affidavit, it's the same as lying under oath in court, and you face serious legal consequences for that.
So it's not just the words themselves, but the gravity of swearing to them that really matters.
Makes sense. I was on the website for Mobile Notary by Derek Spruill, and they offer notarization services for affidavits. That tells you right there that these things are serious business.
For sure. You see, when you swear an oath, it transforms a simple statement into something much more powerful. It's no longer just words on a page. It becomes a legally binding document that can be used to verify facts and support claims and even sometimes stand in for live testimony.
Okay, that's starting to paint a clearer picture, but I think maybe we need to zoom out a bit here. Why are affidavits so essential in the first place? What makes them such a cornerstone of legal systems and so many different processes? Well, just imagine a world without affidavits for a second. How could you ever ensure the reliability of information, especially in situations where the truth is disputed? Affidavits, you see, provide this framework of trust and accountability. When you swear an oath to tell the truth in an affidavit, you're putting your reputation on the line and even potentially your freedom.
It's like saying, I'm so certain about this that I'm willing to face the legal consequences if it turns out to be false. That adds a whole new layer of seriousness to things.
Exactly. And that's why they're so common in everything from, legal cases and real estate transactions to even proving your identity. They provide this, this verifiable sworn record that holds a lot more weight than just a simple unsigned statement.
So it's like a legally binding promise that what you're saying is true. Now, you mentioned swearing an oath is a key part of an affidavit, but what exactly does that actually entail?
So usually swearing an oath involves placing your hand on a Bible or making a solemn affirmation to tell the truth. It's a formal act that shows how serious the statement being made really is. And remember, it has to be done in front of an authorized official, someone like a notary public, for it to be legally binding.
So that's where the notary comes in. They're not just there to watch you sign. They're there to actually witness and validate the oath itself.
Exactly. Their presence adds that extra layer of legal recognition and credibility to the affidavit. It's like saying, this isn't just some casual conversation. This is a formal statement that's been witnessed and validated by a trusted authority.
Now I see why affidavits are so important. They provide a mechanism for holding people accountable for the truthfulness of their statements. It's not just about what you say. It's about the gravity of the oath that you take.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Affidavits create a system where we can be more confident in the information that's presented because it's backed by a sworn oath and that potential for serious consequences if it's proven false.
Makes sense. So we've established that affidavits are powerful tools for ensuring truthfulness and accountability. But what exactly can they be used for? I mean, I know they're common in legal situations, but do they have applications in everyday life too?
Oh, absolutely. You might encounter affidavits in various situations, like if you need to prove your identity or confirm the details of a transaction or provide evidence in a dispute. They're surprisingly versatile documents.
Okay, so it's not just about high-stakes courtroom dramas. Affidavits can be relevant to our everyday lives too. Now, I'm curious about the actual structure of an affidavit. What are the key elements that actually make it legally valid?
Well, there's no, one-size-fits-all template. But most affidavits will have a few key elements. First, it has to clearly say who the affiant is, the person actually making the statement, along with their address and contact info.
Makes sense. Got to know who's saying it, how to reach them if you need to. What else?
It's got to state the facts, things the affiant is swearing to, and those facts need to be, clear, concise, and organized. Think of it like telling a story. You want to present the info in a way that's easy to follow.
So no rambling, stick to the facts, in order. Got it.
Yep. And it needs to include a statement that the affiant is, like, swearing under oath that what they're saying is true and accurate. This is where the legal weight comes in, right?
Right, because that oath elevates it.
Yeah.
It's not just casual chit-chat anymore. It's like usable in legal proceedings.
I'm thinking about that Mobile Notary by Derek Spruill's site. They specifically offer notarization for affidavits. So seems like the notary is key here.
Oh, absolutely. The notary public is that impartial witness, verifying the affiant's identity, seeing him sign, and making sure they get what that oath means. It adds that, like, legitimacy to the affidavit.
Okay, so it's not DIY. You need that official stamp. But what if you mess up in the affidavit? Can you fix it, or do you got to start over? Small stuff, typos, wrong dates, those can usually be fixed with a line through it, the right info above, and the affiant initials it.
The old strike through an initial. Classic. But what about a bigger error, like a fact that's wrong or something missing?
In those cases, better safe than sorry. Make a whole new affidavit. Avoid any confusion, any challenges later.
Makes sense. Don't want a tiny mistake to tank the whole thing.
No.
Now, once it's all signed and official, where does it go? What happens to it?
Depends what it's for. Might be filed with a court, sent to a government agency, used as backup in a real estate deal, or the person just keeps it for their records.
So it's part of the official record, adds weight to whatever it's about.
Exactly. And because it's sworn, it carries that weight, can be evidence if someone questions if the info's true.
Okay, so we got the basics. What it is, why it matters, the parts, even how to fix goofs. Time to get specific. Affidavits, they're used for a ton of things. What are some common examples we see out there?
Well, one you see a lot is the affidavit of heirship. This is when someone dies without a will. Intestate, it's called. The affidavit helps figure out who the heirs are, and it can maybe make splitting up the deceased person's stuff easier.
So it's like a shortcut, avoid the whole probate court thing.
Sometimes, yeah, but it depends on the state laws where the person lived.
Not a magic wand, but a handy tool in the right spot. What other kinds are out there?
Affidavit of domicile. This proves where someone legally lives, which matters for things like, voting, taxes, even getting your driver's license.
So if you move to a new state, you might need this to prove you're really there and get all the rights that come with living there.
Exactly. It's saying under oath, this is where I live.
Okay, that's clear. Any others our listeners might run into?
There's the small estate affidavit that simplifies things if the total value of the estate is, under a certain limit. And then there's affidavits of identity if someone lost their ID, like a driver's license or passport.
So you lost your ID, but you need access to stuff, important services. Someone who knows you well can swear an affidavit, kind of bridge the gap till you get a new ID.
Right, a temporary fix when you don't have the official document.
That's helpful to know. So it's not just lawsuits in court. Affidavits are handy for regular folks, too.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier the language has got to be clear, concise. Can you, unpack that a bit more?
Sure. You got to skip the slang, the jargon, anything too complicated that could be misunderstood. Keep it straightforward so there's no confusion, no way to twist the meaning.
Keep it simple, stick to the facts.
Exactly. It should sound professional, but it doesn't have to be, super formal or stuffy. Clear, concise, truthful, that's the combo.
No Shakespeare needed, just plain language.
Yeah.
But what about opinions? Can those go in, or is it strictly facts?
Good question. Usually affidavits are about facts the person knows firsthand. Opinions, beliefs, unless they're directly part of the issue and you've got evidence, those are usually best left out.
Stick to what you know and what you can prove. Got it. Now, thinking about the people involved, we've got the affiant, the person making the statement, and the notary public, the witness. Anyone else important?
Well, it depends on what the affidavit's for, but there might be other folks. Witnesses who back up the affiant's story, or lawyers giving advice on what to write, making sure it's all legal.
Okay, so it's not always just two people. Could be a whole team, especially if it's, complicated legal stuff.
Right. And remember, the affiant, they got to be legal age and of sound mind, meaning they understand the oath and the consequences if they lie.
Because it's a serious document. They got to be aware of what they're signing. We hear this phrase, sworn under penalty of perjury. Sounds intense. What is perjury exactly, and what happens if you lie in an affidavit?
Perjury is basically lying on purpose while under oath. It's a big deal because it messes with the whole legal system.
It's like saying, I don't care about the truth, even though our legal system relies on it.
Yep. And what happens if you commit perjury? It really varies. Depends on how bad it is and where it happens. But it can be fines, jail time, even your reputation takes a hit. Nobody trusts you anymore.
So, not just a slap on the wrist, it can really mess you up. Makes you think twice about lying when you've sworn to tell the truth.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've looked at what an affidavit is, why they're important, the pieces that make it up, even what to do if there are mistakes. But I feel like we're missing a piece here.
I'm curious. What's missing?
We haven't talked about how affidavits affect society as a whole. We've touched on how they help make sure things are truthful and fair in legal cases. But what about how they help society function overall? It's like affidavits do more than just settle arguments, right?
You got it. They're really a part of that trust that holds everything together. Like without a way to know for sure that information is true, things would get messy. Agreements wouldn't mean much. Evidence wouldn't be reliable. It'd be so hard to hold people accountable.
So they're kind of like a checks and balances thing to keep things from falling apart.
Exactly. It's a level playing field. Everyone's word matters because they're under oath. It makes things fairer, encourages honesty in all kinds of deals and interactions.
That's interesting. So it's like a ripple, right? Starts with a statement, but it affects how we do business, settle disagreements, even how we get along with each other.
Exactly. And you can really see this in real estate. When you're buying or selling property, affidavits are used to make sure the information about the property is true and everyone's being honest. It helps prevent fraud and protects both the buyer and seller.
Okay, so it's not just about legal stuff. Affidavits make sure things are transparent and fair in everyday deals.
Absolutely. And that transparency helps us trust our institutions and systems. Whether it's a government agency using affidavits to double-check information or a business using them to document agreements, these sworn statements make our society more reliable and accountable.
So it's not just about individuals. Affidavits help keep our systems and institutions honest as well.
Exactly. They're a foundation of trust, and they help us navigate this complex world with more confidence and security. We've been talking about the serious side of affidavits, but there's actually a fun side too.
Oh, really? Tell me more about this fun side.
Have you ever heard of the affidavit of lost socks?
Lost socks. Like the ones that disappear in the dryer.
The very same. Of course, it's not a real legal document. It's a funny way people use the affidavit format. They jokingly swear that their socks have disappeared, blaming it on sock gnomes or interdimensional portals, all kinds of silly things.
That's great. Even in the serious world of legal stuff, there's room for some humor.
Exactly. It shows that people get how powerful the affidavit format is, even when they're just playing around.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today, from what an affidavit is at its core to how it affects society as a whole. We've talked about different types, the importance of that oath, and even had a little fun with it. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that affidavits, even though they seem simple, are really important for making sure things are truthful, accountable, and trustworthy in our society. They're more than just legal tools. They're essential for a functioning and fair society.
Well said. So next time you see an affidavit, remember it's more than just a piece of paper. It represents our commitment to honesty, integrity, and the rule of law. And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to write your own humorous affidavit of lost socks.
That would be awesome. Thanks for having me on this deep dive into the world of affidavits, Eddie.
It's been a pleasure, Marylyn. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us. Keep those minds curious, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.